I'm gonna start this video with a potentially hot take. The picture from these two cameras is incredibly similar. They both look fantastic. There are a few advantages one way or the other. The Osmo has a bigger sensor, the GoPro has higher resolution, but at the end of the day, when that footage makes it to YouTube or wherever else you're sharing it, most people can't tell the difference. So we'll touch on picture quality, but this comparison is mostly about the day-to-day ease of use and what it's like to use both of these cameras as a content creator and motorcyclist. This video is sponsored by DJI, and you're probably thinking, well, then why even watch it? Because bias, right? And maybe, but I will tell you, DJI reached out to me, asked me to make this comparison video, and they asked me to be as fair as possible, up to and including a statement saying, we understand that the Osmo may not win in every category, and we're okay with that. That, to me, screams confidence in your product, and I can assure you I wouldn't have made this video if I had to be dishonest in any way. Take it with a grain of salt, but let's dive right in. I've been testing and using both of these cameras for a while now, about a month with the Hero 12 and a few months with the Osmo Action 4 since my first review that you saw, and I will put in some side-by-side footage for you here just so that you can see the picture quality is similar. They're both really good cameras. They both take really good quality video. In the lower light areas, you will see that the Osmo looks a little better just because of that bigger sensor, but I shot all this footage at 4K 30 on both cameras. I just think the stabilization is great on both. It just looks great across the board. There are also about 1 million videos hashing out every single nuance of picture quality. I'm not a photographer. I don't care about f-stops and focal lengths and things like that. That's mostly Greek to me. So you can seek that stuff out. But what I want to talk about today is what it's like to actually use these cameras day in and day out on the front of my helmet and as a B camera. Just a side-by-side in terms of size. This is with the media mod. This is how it sits on the front of your helmet. I'll take this off. There's a battery door here, but it comes off when you put the media mod on. So there they are side by side without the media mod. The Action is just smaller. It has a smaller footprint all around, as you can see. It's not a huge consideration, but it's also a little lighter, which is nice when it's on the front of your helmet. The other really cool thing about these, about the Osmo, is this magnetic mounting setup. It makes it super easy to just take it on and off and switch positions from horizontal to vertical. The GoPro will record vertical natively, but you have to go in the settings to change it. This camera, it's as simple as pop it off and set it the other way, as long as you're using the external case. Okay, we're just gonna do a side-by-side comparison of a couple things that I do frequently while I'm out riding and recording content. The first, swapping a battery. So let's compare just how long it takes to swap a battery on the GoPro here versus the Osmo. So here's the GoPro, media mod is on, and you can see, here's one of my biggest pet peeves with this thing. You see how big the media mod is on the front here? Well, I can't get to this screw. I can't reach it, I can't turn it because the body of the camera, you see, sticks out too far. So it's not tight right now, right? So if I wanna get it tight, I really can't on the fly. I mean, yeah, I can't. I have to use a screwdriver to get in there because there's a screw end on the end of this. So I use a screwdriver to tighten it down before I go out, because otherwise this camera's gonna be bouncing all over the place. Which means that when I want to swap the battery in the field, I either need to have a screwdriver on me, or I gotta just figure out, I can't do it. I gotta figure out how to work that loose. So all that notwithstanding, even if this wasn't an issue, it's still slower because of the built-in mount on the bottom of the GoPro here. I have to take this in all the way off to get to the battery compartment because it's inside the media mod. I can't get the media mod off without taking the camera off. So let's do a battery swap. Ready? Screwdriver, go. Same goes if I want to just reposition the camera. It's a huge pain in the ass because of this. I also have to do this when I go to adjust the settings because the front screen is not a touch screen, so I can't adjust settings from the front screen. I can't even wake it up to check the battery status. Okay, it's off. I'm gonna pop the media mod off. Oh, this thing's always a pain in the ass, okay? Ugh. Media mod off, battery, swap the battery. Media mod back on. Okay, this is always a pain in the ass, so I always just use the screw to get, that's the built-in mount, to get it back down, put it on the mount, get the screw started as best I can. Plug this in before I move it back because I won't be able to otherwise. Okay, put it back where it goes. tighten it down, I'm ready to ride again. Is that the end of the world? Is it apocalyptic amount of time? No, but let me show you the difference. Oop, or I can throw that on the ground. Here's the Osmo. These are two different helmets just because I didn't want to buy two identical helmets, but the mounting setup is completely the same on both of them. Okay, second battery, let's swap. I'm done. Doesn't have to come off of the mount at all. Also, the extra height here on this mount makes this much easier to adjust on the fly. And if I did have to take it off the mount, it would still be faster because of these awesome magnetic mounts. It just pops right on, pops right off. And with the case, the optional case, you can even mount this vertically super quick and easy. So if I want to make an adjustment to settings, I just touch the front screen. I don't have to take this off. Or if I do want to use the rear screen, I just pop it off, adjust the settings, put it back on, plug this in, and I'm on my merry way. It is 10,000 times more convenient. One of the biggest factors for me as a content creator, particularly one who's out doing stuff, riding motorcycles, is battery life. And they both claim incredible battery life, but what's it like in real world conditions? So I put one camera on my helmet, one on the motorcycle as a B camera, started them both at the exact same time on the same day. It was about 50 degrees, and ran them until they both died. So at 4K 30 on one GoPro battery, I got an hour and 23 minutes. And on the Osmo battery, I got an hour and 42 minutes. So it lasted 20 minutes longer on that particular ride. Like I said, at 4K 30, obviously their numbers will say it goes longer because they test it in lab conditions at 1080p, which draws less battery. But in terms of battery life, the Osmo is significantly better. These cameras have a lot of things in common, a lot of very similar advantages. They both have great picture quality, as I mentioned. They both have a really good app that you can use to go in, change settings, control the camera remotely, preview your footage. It's about the same speed for either one as you're pulling footage off of the camera, depending on how you do it. I usually drag and drop. There's an app for GoPro that'll do it automatically if you set that up. Both have great stabilization, and they're both $399.99 MSRP. But the Osmo has quite a few advantages in my book. It's much easier to swap batteries, as you saw. It's easier to adjust settings on the fly because you can do so from the front screen. You don't have to loosen it up and bend it down to where you can get to the rear screen to change the settings. That front touchscreen is a game changer, and that's something the Osmo has and the GoPro doesn't. It's easier to wake up the screen and see like where your battery is for the same reason, because you can touch that front touchscreen while you're riding. You don't have to squeeze your finger in behind or whatever. It's a smaller camera, and it doesn't need a media mod. I'm on the record over the years as not being a fan of the GoPro media mod. I don't like that it's proprietary. I don't like that it costs so much. I don't like that it limits your options. You don't have that problem with the Osmo. It works with third-party mic adapters, and if you're running a mic in your helmet or any kind of external mic, it sure is nice to not have to pay $80 to make that happen. It's also smaller on the front of your helmet as a result. The GoPro is huge and bulky. The Osmo is not, because you don't need a media mod. You don't have another case on the outside. The media mod also makes it much more difficult to change batteries, to adjust settings, to move the camera, to pull the battery when the camera overheats and freezes up, or swap memory cards. That thing is a huge pain in the ass with the built-in mounts, and I'm just not a fan of practical day-to-day use of it. The Osmo supports fast charging, so it charges faster. It has a larger sensor, as I mentioned, which means better low-light performance. It's better in cold temperatures, has the quick switch button, and you can also buy the multifunctional battery case. It's not included, but having a battery case that charges your batteries and can also charge your accessories if you have extra power, like to charge up your phone or something, is super neat. DJI, in my experience, is constantly updating their cameras. This is the third Osmo Action I've used, and it seems like every time I plug the damn thing into the app, there's an update. GoPro, on the other hand, it's like they release it, they maybe fix a few bugs, and then they're on to the next model. They don't seem to support the older models as much or as well in my experience. However, that's not to say that the GoPro doesn't have advantages. One, the GoPro is more watertight with the media mod. It's not 100% waterproof. You're not going to put it underwater, but the fact that that case snaps around the camera and just has the one plug on the back, which are covered with rubber when they're not in use, means it's a lot less likely that water's going to get into your camera if you get caught in a rainstorm or something. I haven't had any problems with the Osmo, but it is possible for water to get into the port a little easier just with the setup that it has. The built-in mounts on the GoPro are convenient. You don't have to go look for a mount, and then even on the Hero 12 has the tripod mount where you just screw it on, but those things are such a pain in the ass. With the media mod on, you can't open the door, you can't change the battery, you can't change the card, all those things that I mentioned. So it's a blessing and a curse depending on how you're using your camera. The GoPro does have higher resolution. It goes up to 5.3K. That's not something I use as a content creator. I tend to stick to 4K, but it's there if you want it. You can put the max lens mod on it if you want to do that. And if you're already in the GoPro ecosystem, if you already have a media mod and a bunch of batteries from an earlier model, if you already have a GoPro subscription and you're already uploading stuff to that or any of that stuff, it's really easy to get stuck in their ecosystem, and it costs money to replace those things when you leave. So if you're already in the GoPro ecosystem and these other considerations aren't enough to make you change your mind, then maybe the GoPro is a better choice for you. However, neither of these cameras is perfect, so let's talk about what I don't like about them. First, the Osmo. It's what I just said about the GoPro ecosystem. There's lots of GoPro stuff out there. You may already be in it. Some GoPro accessories won't work with this particular camera. Not many. Most of the mounts and everything work, but there are some proprietary things out there that you may already have. And it does take a little tweaking to get that helmet mic set up right. I'm still working on it, but at least you have a wide range of gain adjustment on the helmet mic. I always have to move the mic around on the GoPros too. It's just all I can do is muffle or change position. I can't adjust the levels on the GoPro, but I can on the Osmo, but it takes some tweaking every time. It's like, I still don't have it quite right, and I've been using this thing for a while. Let's talk about disadvantages of the GoPro. One, it's just so fiddly. Like I told you, like I said, it takes a long time to swap batteries. It doesn't have a front touchscreen, so you can't access your settings on the fly. You can do it in the app, or you can unscrew the thing and pull it down to mess with it, but you can't just ding, 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 take your helmet off, punch it or whatever, and go back to riding. It's got a much bigger footprint on the front of your helmet. It's also heavier because of the media mod that has to be on there. They don't update it as often. It's impossible to adjust your mounting screws with the media mod on. I have to use a screwdriver. These cameras still have overheating issues, particularly if you're running like 4K 120 FPS. I've seen multiple reports of that, and just a general distrust of GoPro based on years of experience. I have friends that are still running them, and every once in a while I'll see a post from them. It's like, oh, I lost all my audio today because the GoPro failed me, whatever. They just don't seem to care about people that are using external mics. GoPro doesn't care about content creators, particularly like helmet mics, things like that. It's a total afterthought with them as far as I can tell. While DJI is not only adding in features where you can adjust the gain, but they're also tweaking and adjusting those things, making it wider. They added gain adjustment after the fact, the Osmo Action 3, when people pointed out that that was a problem. So they do seem to care about more use cases and motorcycling uses specifically. GoPro, I'm telling you, they want people who put the camera on a stick and jump off a cliff or whatever, or hold it on the end of a pole while they're skiing. They don't care about getting audio into the camera. So what's my conclusion? As a content creator, as well as just a guy who records his motorcycle rides, the Osmo is just way more convenient. It's got better battery life. It's so much easier to change the settings, the batteries, the memory cards, etc. It's fast and easy to swap from mount to mount. I love the battery pack that you can buy separately, and I can go all day on one battery because it lasts so long if I'm filming on and off, or if it's a really intensive day, I just stop at lunch, swap the battery, and I'm good for the rest of the day. I have never swapped more than once in a day, and I've never had it run out on me. I've always just caught it preemptively because there was a convenient time to swap it and it was still at 20% or something. The picture quality is fantastic. You don't need a media mod, and yes, the Osmo does take a little tweaking to work as a helmet cam, just in terms of the mic gain settings, but once you get it, it's golden. I've had the Action 1, the 3, and the 4. Not one time have I hit that power button and had it failed to come on. I've never had an audio loss issue, none of that stuff. It powers up more quickly than the GoPro. It's just overall more convenient and easier to use for me, someone whose livelihood depends on it. So you, the casual user, or you, the other content creator, I think will really appreciate the benefits of the ease of use and functionality and just the considerations for usability that the Osmo has that the GoPro doesn't seem to have. If you're already deep in the GoPro ecosystem, maybe it makes sense to get the Hero 12. I wouldn't blame you. The picture quality is similar, and if you can deal with the annoyances, well, it's not gonna not work for you, but I think the Osmo is underrated. GoPro is the name in this space. They're the ones that started this whole action camera revolution, but they have not been driving it forward. DJI has been driving technology forward. They were the first ones with the front screen, first with the front touch screen. The battery life is insane, and so GoPro has been surpassed. They don't take big swings anymore, it doesn't feel like. It's just like each camera is incrementally better than the last one, versus DJI is really setting out to create a unique, usable, awesome product based on user feedback, and I've been very happy with the camera, and I'm very happy to continue working with them, and I wholeheartedly recommend the Osmo Action 4, which is of course linked in the description if you want to check it out. If you want to see more product reviews, motorcycling content, stuff like that, please consider subscribing to the channel, because I'm the dork in the road and I want to be your internet riding buddy, and I'm better than your regular riding buddies because I come with a mute button. Thank you for watching, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!